With a single fateful decision, Esau traded his birthright for a bowl of stew, surrendering his destiny to the whims of his brother Jacob. But beneath the surface of this seemingly impulsive act lies a complex tale of sibling rivalry, paternal favoritism, and the unrelenting pursuit of redemption. Join me as we delve into the tumultuous life of Esau, the original prodigal son, whose journey from estrangement to reconciliation would forever shape the course of biblical history. Esau is described as a skillful hunter and his father Isaac's favorite son because of his prowess in the field, while Jacob is described as a quiet man dwelling in tents and was his mother Rebekah's favorite. One of the most famous stories involving Esau is when he sells his birthright to Jacob for a meal of bread and lentil stew. Coming in from the field famished, Esau is persuaded by Jacob to trade his birthright, which includes leadership of the family and a double portion of the inheritance, for food. Later, Esau's blessing from Isaac, which was meant for the firstborn, is deceitfully obtained by Jacob. Jacob, with the guidance of his mother Rebekah, disguises himself as Esau and receives the blessing meant for Esau, leading to further strife and Esau's vow to kill Jacob. This conflict prompts Jacob to flee to his uncle Laban's house. Despite their early conflicts, Esau and Jacob eventually reconcile when Jacob returns to Canaan after many years. The reunion is peaceful and emotional, showing maturity and forgiveness in Esau's character, contrasting with his earlier impulsivity. Esau is also the progenitor of the Edomites, as he is identified with Edom, which means red, a name linked to the impulsive trade of his birthright for the red lentil stew. The descendants of Esau or the Edomites are frequently mentioned in the Bible, often in opposition to the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob. Esau and his twin brother Jacob were the sons of Isaac. Isaac was the only legitimate son of Abraham, the father of the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Abraham, a direct descendant of Noah's son Shem, lived in Haran, but God commanded him to set out to new territory. Abraham settled in Canaan and had 8 sons. Abraham's oldest son, Ishmael, was born by Hagar, an Egyptian slave who belonged to Abraham's wife, Sarah. At the time, Sarah apparently couldn't conceive and suggested her husband start a family with Hagar to maintain his family line. Abraham was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. Abraham's second son, Isaac, was born by Sarah when she was 90 years old, and Abraham was 100 years old. Isaac's birth accelerated a rivalry that was already happening between Sarah and Hagar, and Abraham reluctantly sent Ishmael and his mother away. Between having a large family, amassing large herds of animals, and gaining many possessions, Abraham became known as a mighty prince, Genesis 23 verse 6, among the Canaanite tribes. His son Isaac married Rebekah, one of Abraham's relatives in Haran, Genesis 24. Like Sarah, Rebekah had difficulty conceiving. Eventually, Isaac and Rebekah had twin sons Jacob and Esau. Esau is a Hebrew word that can mean hairy and refers to Esau being born with red skin and lots of hair. Easton's Bible Dictionary observes that he was also called Edom, meaning red. His descendants became a nation known as the Edomites. From Cain and Abel onward, many brothers have been rivals. However, not all brothers were rivals before they were even born. The Bible states that while Rebekah was still carrying her twin sons in her womb, they started fighting each other. When Rebekah asked God what was going on, he informed her. Esau's family had a history of conventional wisdom being reversed. Abraham made his fortune by leaving his father's land, then letting his nephew Lot get the best-looking land. Abraham's oldest son was Ishmael, but his second son Isaac was the one to get the inheritance. This time around, the reversal wouldn't just involve the younger son being dominant. It would be a competition that affected nations. When Jacob and Esau were born, Esau came out first. A moment later, Jacob came out with his hand around Esau's heel. As Jacob and Esau grew, they became very different individuals. Esau not only looked like an outdoorsman, hairy body, red skin, he had outdoorsy interests, a skillful hunter, a man of the open country. Jacob preferred to stay at home among the tents. Isaac was a herdsman, so his family and workers lived in tents and moved around to new pastures. When Esau was an adult, He came back to the tents after a long day and saw Jacob cooking some red lentil stew. Hungry, Esau told his brother, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew."
I'm famished.
Jacob said Esau could have some stew, but only as part of a deal, the meal for Esau's birthright. The birthright was a big deal. Esau and Jacob were twins, but Esau was the oldest son since he left the womb first. That made him the primary inheritor of Isaac's estate. Rather than thinking carefully about what he was losing or what happened to his father's 6 brothers who didn't get any birthright, Esau just wanted food. "Look, I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" Esau swore to give Jacob his birthright, and he got his meal. Not only would he live to regret the day he despised his birthright, but that mistake followed his family. Genesis 25 verse 30 says Esau gained the name Edom because he sold his birthright for red stew. His descendants became known as the Edomites. Sometime later, after Esau was 40 years old, Jacob pulled another trick on him. Isaac was now an old man, nearly blind, and wanted to give his blessing to his oldest son before he died. Isaac asked Esau to hunt some wild game, make him his favorite food and bring it to him, then Isaac would bless Esau. Rebekah heard Isaac's plan and wanted the blessing for the son she preferred. Jacob put on Esau's clothes and goatskin on his hands, took some food his mother had made, and went to his father. Isaac was confused that this man sounded like his son Jacob, but the man's arms felt hairy like his son Esau. Isaac gave Jacob a particular blessing. By giving this blessing, Isaac was passing along something special. The Enduring Word commentary observes that it echoed God's words to Abraham as he established his covenant. The references to cursing and blessing repeated God's words to Abraham when he left Haran. Isaac's blessing passed on the Abrahamic covenant and determined which of his sons would be like him and which would be like Ishmael. He was upset when Esau returned and learned his brother had taken his blessing. Isaac made it clear he had no blessings left to give, although he did have a prophecy. Esau decided to wait until Isaac was dead to get revenge on Jacob. Rebekah heard about this plan and used the fact neither she nor Isaac wanted Jacob to marry a local bride as an excuse for Jacob to leave. Genesis 28-31 describes Jacob's adventures in Paddan Aram, including marrying 2 wives and amassing his own fortune as a herdsman. After his uncle Laban became hostile, Jacob took his family and herds and returned to Canaan. By this point, Esau had married a 3rd wife and settled with his family in Seir. Jacob sent him word that he was coming to see him, and Esau sent word back that he'd meet Jacob with 400 of his men. Worried that Esau still wanted revenge, Jacob sent him a gift and split his company into 2 groups. The night before they met, God appeared to Jacob and named him Israel, an experience that humbled Jacob but confirmed God was still with him and would carry on the covenant through Jacob. When they met, Esau made it clear he had forgiven his brother. Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Jacob had to insist that Esau take his gifts. After they reconciled, Esau returned to Seir while Jacob settled in Sukkos. Jacob's children grew and started their own families and later immigrated to Egypt to survive a famine. The story of Jacob's son Joseph, another younger son who dominated his siblings, takes up the rest of Genesis. Whether or not God gives us a great calling, we can choose to do well with what we've been given. We still have a responsibility to follow God and live wisely. Esau's foolhardy behavior reminds us that there are consequences when we shirk those responsibilities.